The role of Mary, the mother of Jesus, in Christianity and Islam. Mary, the mother of Jesus, holds a unique and revered position in both Christianity and Islam, despite the distinct theological frameworks of each faith. As the Mother of God, she is revered in Christianity for having played a crucial part in the birth of Jesus, the Holy Son of God. Though lacking the same theological overtones as in Christianity, Mary is regarded as one of the greatest women in history in Islam because of her dedication, purity, and submission to God's plan. Despite these variations, Mary's tale cuts across theological lines, providing a common foundation for contemplation on virtue, faith, and obedience to God. Her impact extends beyond the written word, acting as a conduit for interfaith discussion and emphasizing common ideals like as humility, piety, and the sacredness of motherhood. We may better understand how faith, devotion, and the strength of women are prevalent in these two great faiths by examining Mary's role in both traditions. Mary's position as a selected woman. In Christianity, Mary is frequently called the Mother of God, a phrase that symbolizes the conviction that Jesus is divine. She is honored as the Mother of Jesus because of her chastity, faith, and submission to God's will. Christian tradition holds that Jesus' miraculous conception, which is interpreted as an accomplishment of Old Testament prophecy, was facilitated by Mary. This idea stems from the Annunciation, when Mary was told by the Angel Gabriel that she would become pregnant with the Son of God by the work of the Holy Spirit. Mary, one of the most admired women in history, is likewise held in great regard in Islam. Mary's chastity and devotion to God are highlighted in the Quranic account of her life. Mary is described as the best of women in the Quran, which also honors her for her total obedience to God's will. The Quran dedicates a chapter, Surah Maryam, to Mary's life, and she is indeed the sole woman named in the text. The idea that Mary was selected by God above all other women to bear Jesus, known in Arabic as Isa, highlights her special position in Islam. The miraculous conception and Mary's virginity. The idea of Mary's virginity is among the most important parallels between Islam and Christianity. One of the main beliefs of Christianity is the dogma of the virgin birth. Christian doctrine holds that Mary conceived Jesus without the help of a biological father, thanks to the work of the Holy Spirit. A key component of the Christian notion of Jesus' divinity is this miracle, which shows that Jesus was completely human and completely divine from the moment of his conception. Islam likewise maintains the notions of Jesus' miraculous conception and Mary's virginity. The Quran portrays Mary's conception as a divine miracle and makes it clear that she was a virgin when she gave birth to Jesus. Islam recognizes the virgin birth as a miracle that exemplifies God's power, even though it does not hold the same theological conclusions about Jesus' divinity. According to the Quran, Mary responded with humility and amazement when the angel Gabriel told her that she would soon have a miracle birth. The part Mary played in Jesus' life. Although Mary is central to Jesus' life in both Christianity and Islam, her significance varies depending on how each tradition interprets Jesus' purpose. In Christianity, Mary is regarded as a representation of faith and obedience in addition to being the mother of Jesus. She is frequently depicted as a loving maternal figure that helped and supported Jesus in his early years. Mary is mentioned in the New Testament at a number of significant points in Jesus' life, including the wedding at Cana, John 2:1-12, when she requests Jesus to work his first miracle, and the crucifixion, where she stands at his side. Mary's significance in Islam is primarily centered on her moral rectitude and her unshakable faith in God. The Quran portrays Mary as a model of piety by describing her dedication and her perfect obedience to God's will. Mary is admired for her loyalty and her readiness to accept God's plan for her life, even though the Quran skips over some of the details of Jesus' life in contrast to the Christian scriptures. The Quran places more emphasis on Mary's function as a prophet's mother than as a key player in Jesus' ministry. The function of Mary in the early Islamic and Christian societies. Mary's significance in early Christianity increased as the church expanded and deepened its theological understanding of Jesus. The idea that Mary gave birth to God in human form led to her being regarded as the mother of the church and the Theotokos, God-bearer, by the 4th century. At a pivotal point in the evolution of Marian theology, the Council of Ephesus in 431 CE made this title official in Christian dogma. Though Mary does not have the same metaphysical significance in Islam, the Islamic tradition nonetheless heavily emphasizes her position as a devout and moral mother. Mary's narrative is frequently used to highlight the virtues of patience and faith, since she is regarded as an example of submitting to God's will. Muslims can learn from Mary's story in the Quran, which emphasizes her devotion to God and her faith in Him, despite her separation from her community throughout her pregnancy. Theological disparities. God's mother versus God's servant. The idea of Mary's divinity and her relationship to God is one of the most important theological distinctions between Islam and Christianity, because Mary gave birth to Jesus, who is considered to be both fully divine and fully human. She is frequently referred to in Christianity as the Mother of God Theotokos. Because of this concept, Mary is held in high regard and revered. In fact, certain Christian denominations even consider her as a mediator between God and humanity. Sometimes people pray to her for help with spiritual issues. Islam, on the other hand, categorically denies that Mary is the Mother of God. According to Islamic belief, God is wholly transcendent and unrelated to humans. Mary is never regarded as divine or as a go-between for God and people, despite the fact that she is greatly admired as a servant of God. Although Mary is recognized for her holiness and devotion to God, who is the only object of worship in Islam, she is not held in the same regard as she is in Christianity. The legacy of Mary in Muslim and Christian traditions. Mary is still seen as a representation of devotion, faith, and purity in both Islam and Christianity, with numerous Christian faiths engaging in Marian devotions like the Rosary. Mary has emerged as a key figure in religious art, liturgy, and prayer. The Catholic Church celebrates a number of Marian feasts, including the Assumption and the Immaculate Conception, in which Mary plays a significant role. These customs demonstrate how highly Christians regard Mary as an exemplary figure of holiness. Mary's legacy is also revered in Islam, albeit in a different religious framework. Mary is revered by Muslims as a symbol of humility, purity, and obedience to God's will. She is often mentioned in prayers, and Muslims may consider the narrative of Mary and Jesus as part of their religious practice during the month of Ramadan. Muslims are still motivated by Mary's example of faith and devotion, and her narrative is presented to emphasize the kindness and strength of God. A link for interfaith communication. Islam and Christianity both hold Mary in high regard, which provides a potent point of agreement for interfaith discussion. Despite the theological disparities between the two religions' conceptions of Mary and Jesus, the acceptance of Mary as a good moral lady who dedicated her life to God opens the door to respect and common ideals. Interfaith conversations on issues like women's place in religious communities, devotion to God, and the significance of faith in day-to-day living can be built on this shared ground. Mary's story serves as a bridge between the two religions in many respects, demonstrating that although theological interpretations differ, Christians and Muslims share a common appreciation of moral role models and the pursuit of justice. By stressing similar values rather than only theological differences, this mutual regard for Mary can promote a spirit of collaboration, understanding, and harmony between the two religions. Final thoughts. As a representation of faith, purity, and devotion to God, Mary occupies a special and revered place in both Christianity and Islam. Both communities hold her in high regard as the Mother of Jesus, the Prophet in Islam, and the divine figure in Christianity, despite the fact that their understandings of her differ greatly theologically. We can gain a greater understanding of Mary's universal significance and the ways in which she still inspires believers today by examining the parallels and discrepancies between the ways she is honored in these two religions. Let us know in the comments what you think about the role of Mary, the Mother of Jesus, in Christianity and Islam, and its development. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more captivating content on our YouTube channel.